In a startling instance, Pawn Stars star Rick Harrison was recently given a life sentence. He was formerly well known for his prosperous profession, but he is currently being accused of grave crimes. Let's examine the specifics of this case and the circumstances that gave up to Rick Harrison's life taking such a drastic turn. In a startling case, Rick Harrison, the well-known Pawn Stars star, was recently given a life sentence. He went from being a well-known person with a prosperous profession to becoming the target of grave accusations. Let's examine the incident's specifics and determine what caused Rick Harrison's life to take such a drastic turn. If you want to be informed about the most recent disturbing incidents in the entertainment industry, please express your opinions about this case in the comments box below the video. Additionally, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Born in Lexington, North Carolina, on March 26, 1965, Rick Harrison is renowned for his success with Pawn Stars and as a shrewd businessman and TV personality. But he didn't have an easy road to stardom. Rick spent the most of his life in San Diego, California, when his family relocated there when he was only 2 years old. When he was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 8, life threw him a tremendous curveball, causing him to miss a lot of school. Rather than give up, Rick was adamant about learning, especially about history, and he used his time at home as a training ground for self-education. This deep understanding of history turned out to be one of his greatest strengths. Born in Lexington, North Carolina, on March 26, 1965, Rick Harrison rose to fame as a shrewd businessman and TV personality after Pawn Stars. His path to stardom wasn't easy, though. Rick spent the most of his life in San Diego, California, when his family relocated there when he was 2 years old. When he was diagnosed with epilepsy at the age of 8, he had to miss a lot of school, which created a significant obstacle in his life. Rick, however, was adamant on teaching himself, especially about history, and he used his time at home as a self-education course, rather than giving up. His extensive historical knowledge turned out to be one of his greatest advantages. Rick's life changed dramatically when he was 17 years old. The young couple chose to marry and have 2 boys, Corey and Adam, when his girlfriend Kim became pregnant. Despite being married for 8 years, they ultimately got divorced. Rick's father, Richard, founded a small business named Gold and Silver Coin Shop in Las Vegas, Nevada, when the family relocated there in 1981. By 1989, this shop had developed into Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, a well-known landmark in Las Vegas that would subsequently serve as the Pawn Stars' iconic location. The shop's early years were difficult. Rick and his father had to deal with a lot of dubious transactions and erratic clients. But throughout it all, Rick's keen sense of what antiques are and his extensive understanding of historical items allowed the store to expand considerably. He established a strong name in the Las Vegas pawn world over time. Rick started envisioning a reality program that would showcase the distinctive tales and the day-to-day bustle at the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop after seeing the unrealized entertainment potential in the pawn industry. Rick persisted even after the concept was initially turned down. He finally got a deal with the History Channel after years of perseverance, and Pawn Stars made its TV debut in 2009. The world of pawn shops was exposed by the episode, blending contentious negotiations, unique and rare objects, and engrossing historical narratives. Rick, his son Corey, his father, elderly Richard Harrison, and his cherished buddy Austin Chumlee Russell were presented to the crowd. This group, which assessed anything from swords to unusual items, soon gained widespread recognition. Pawn Stars gained popularity very fast because of Rick's cool head, skillful negotiating, and extensive historical background. When offers were either accepted or refused, Rick's well-known statement, "The best I can do," became iconic. But in addition to being amusing, the show was really instructive. Because each episode included a lesson in art, history, and culture, Pawn Stars were able to draw in a wide range of viewers, including history aficionados, inquisitive children, and casual viewers. Gold and Silver Pawn Shop changed from a neighborhood business to a popular tourist destination under Rick's direction, attracting guests from all over the world, some of whom even had the opportunity to make an appearance on the program. Due to the show's tremendous popularity, Rick ventured into other business endeavors, such as building restaurants and selling memorabilia and best-selling books. He became a sought-after media figure, imparting business tips at events, interviewing big publications, and appearing on talk shows, so his celebrity went beyond the pawn shop and television. How do you feel about this circumstance? Is it a miscommunication or is it true? Post your opinions in the comments section. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you're interested in startling news from the entertainment industry, so you don't miss any interesting videos. People all throughout the world are still motivated by Rick Harrison's transformation from a high school dropout to a TV personality and prosperous businessman. In addition to being Pawn Star's spokesperson, Rick Harrison is the main reason for the program's popularity. In addition to his keen financial sense, he is renowned for his composed leadership on television. Rick watches Chumlee's pranks and frequently mentors his son Corey in the pawn industry. Building a relationship based on mutual respect and years of hard effort, Rick and his father Richard "Old Man" Harrison were more than just father and son, they were strategic partners. Based on their same ideals of integrity, intelligence and honesty, they worked together to create Gold and Silver Pawn Shop from the bottom up. After Old Man's death in 2018, Rick kept making sure the company upheld the principles his father had taught him in every transaction and choice. Rick has undoubtedly benefited from Pawn Star's fame and fortune, but his personal life has also had its share of highs and lows. He married Tracy Harrison after his first marriage failed, and the two of them lived together for 27 years before being divorced in 2011. Danny Coker, star of Counting Cars, conducted Rick's wedding to Deanna Burdett 2 years later in a beautiful ceremony in Las Vegas, where Chumlee joyfully carried the ring. Although Rick makes an effort to keep his private life private, it is clear from the moments he shares on the show that he is a loving family guy. Whether talking about his kids or thinking back on his father, Rick constantly tries to strike a balance between his family, career and notoriety. Rick Harrison was never satisfied with his success and kept growing his company. He expanded his commercial endeavors beyond the pawn store as his notoriety increased. At Pawn Plaza, which is next to Gold and Silver Pawn Shop, Rick opened Rick's Rollin' Smoke BBQ and Tavern. Offering delicious food and a little celebrity power, the restaurant soon gained popularity among both residents and visitors. When Rick co-wrote the best-selling book License to Pawn Deals, Steals and My Life at the Gold and Silver in 2011, he put his narrative into print. The memoir's colorful tales, commercial acumen, and lively recollections from decades of dealing gave readers a genuine look into the guy behind the counter. Being a genuine entrepreneur, Rick kept growing his company and looking for new ventures. Rick is one of the most well-known individuals in the collecting industry, thanks to his appraisal abilities, which he developed via hundreds of Pawn Star transactions. Rick has seen and appreciated everything from rare relics to vintage automobiles and historical papers, but his realism and humility are what make him unique. He is always eager to bring in dependable experts when a problem is outside of his area of expertise. The success of his business and the program may be attributed to his curiosity, prudence and confidence. The 2001 New England Patriots Super Bowl ring is one of Rick's most memorable purchases. He paid $2,600 for it, only to find out later that it was worth considerably more. Gold coins found in a 1715 shipwreck were part of a Spanish treasure trove, which was another noteworthy transaction that demonstrated Rick's interest for rare artifacts and history. Rick Harrison confirms what fans have long understood with each transaction. In addition to being a successful businessman, he is also a skilled negotiator with an excellent sense of value, a storyteller, and a history buff. Rick Harrison has faced difficulties along the way, despite his immense accomplishment. Fans and others close to him were shocked when he became the subject of a startling FBI probe in 2023. Federal officers from the FBI, IRS, and the Department of Cultural Heritage Protection swarmed into Rick's Las Vegas house and the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop in a scene that could have been lifted from a Hollywood film. As employees and clients were briefly held while authorities searched the area and seized laptops, papers, and a number of valuable antiques, witnesses reported a chaotic and bizarre situation. Corey Harrison, Rick Harrison's son, was at the store when the raid occurred and subsequently called the incident unbelievable, saying it happened so swiftly and violently that nobody had time to respond. Video clips of Rick being led out of his house by Secret Service officials surfaced shortly after, went viral and sparked a flurry of social media conjecture. Authorities said they were looking into a complicated network including tax fraud, money laundering, and the illicit sale of cultural objects as information were gradually made public. The probe was prompted by accusations from some former business acquaintances as well as questionable financial activities found by banking institutions. As the inquiry went on, Rick maintained his composure, public stability, and business focus in the face of intense scrutiny and mounting media attention. Even while the whole truth hasn't been revealed yet, one thing is for sure. One of the most significant and dramatic periods of Rick Harrison's life is currently upon him. Rick Harrison is still unquestionably one of the most significant personalities in the reality TV industry. Rick's journey from a bookish youngster with epilepsy to a self-made entrepreneur and the star of one of the most watched cable TV programs has long served as a testament to tenacity, hard work, and creativity. However, his legacy abruptly became hazy and dubious with the raid in 2023. The History Channel temporarily suspended Pawn Star production in the weeks after the FBI probe, saying they were keeping a close eye on the matter and would re-evaluate when additional details were released. At the same time, the gold and silver pawn shop started to see a decrease in patronage. Once drawing travelers from all over the world, the excitement has now diminished to rumors about the scandal. Rick's lawyer promptly denied any misconduct, claiming that the probe was a big misunderstanding that will be resolved shortly. The public was told by his lawyer, David Marshall, a well-known defense lawyer in Las Vegas, who has defended several high-profile clients, that Rick had always operated in an open and lawful manner. However, as the case developed, a new image emerged. Authorities said Rick had planned a sophisticated plot to sell historical items at full market value through off-the-record transactions while devaluing them in order to avoid paying taxes. Some of the pieces were tracked back to museums and private collections after being suspected of being stolen and bought through middlemen. According to court documents, a former employee who not only took part in the plan, but also gave access to internal documents, transaction records, and an accounting system that was intended to hide important transactions from the books, was the whistleblower who started the inquiry. Rick was taken into custody soon after, but the next day he was freed on bond. The accusations were grave: conspiring to deal in illicit historical relics, trafficking in stolen property, tax evasion, and money laundering. Additional evidence surfaced as the case proceeded to trial. Former co-workers testified against him, and the prosecution produced emails, altered accounting records, and encrypted messages purporting to show Rick talking about deleting the provenance records of artifacts, including an 18th century document that was allegedly stolen from a university archive. Rick seems to have orchestrated a string of cash transactions intended to circumvent government reporting obligations in an extremely embarrassing interaction. The judge made it apparent that this was a cultural cost as well as a question of tax fraud and financial wrongdoing, notwithstanding disagreements among legal experts over whether the sentence was excessively severe for a non-violent act. The court replied sharply, "Mr. Harrison, you have established yourself as a champion of history, someone who cherishes artifacts and our common heritage. In actuality, you have been a member of an illicit network that has helped to plunder and destroy priceless cultural assets for private benefit." The legacy of Rick Harrison, the star of one of America's favorite television programs, was formally destroyed as these words echoed through the courtroom like thunder. But in spite of the uproar, he still has devoted followers who remember the difference he made. In support of him, social media communities have emerged, sharing tales of how Pawn Stars ignited their interest in learning, history, and antiques. One admirer remarked, "Rick taught me to love history in a way that school never could. We will always remember what he gave us, no matter what." For those who grew up with Pawn Stars, Rick Harrison is more than simply a television personality. He is a cultural link that uses the objects that people brought to his store to tell incredible tales. Rick's broadcast career may have ended due to the ultimate decision, but his legacy may live on in popular culture and in the hearts of millions of people. In addition to serving as a warning, this novel also explores ambition, power, and the enormous responsibility that comes with being a public defender of history. Rick's legal team immediately filed an appeal once the decision was announced, claiming that Rick's civil rights were violated, and that the sentence was excessively severe and out of proportion to a non-violent offense. They asked for Rick's release pending the appeal, pointing out that he had no past convictions and that some of the artifact transactions were unclear. This request was quickly turned down. Cameras caught a dramatic shot of Rick being led in handcuffs out of the courthouse a minute later. The guy at the heart of a media frenzy was previously renowned for his cool-headed diplomacy and historical expertise. These films went viral very fast, igniting a flurry of responses on social media and in mainstream sources. The public's views soon diverged. Many of Rick's devoted followers were shocked, thinking he had been used as a scapegoat for a bigger problem in the international antiquities trade. Messages of suspicion and support swamped comment sections and forums. Historians and cultural heritage specialists, meanwhile, defended the severe penalty, considering it a significant ruling in the battle against the illicit artifact trade. The Hearts for Harrison campaign was started by Rick's supporters in reaction to the widening rift. The movement immediately gathered momentum, amassing more than 100,000 signatures demanding that the sentence be re-examined. The head of the campaign, Melissa Jenkins, stated, "We're not saying Rick is innocent in everything. However, a life sentence for a non-violent offense is retaliation, not justice. Rick need to be given an opportunity to put things right." In addition, the campaign swamped social media with positive remarks and donated money for Rick's legal defense. Jenkins went on to say that every money, every signature, and every prayer matters. "We think he can yet turn things around." For the first time, Rick's son Corey Harrison expressed his genuine feelings. "Despite his errors, my father shouldn't be sentenced to death in jail. He deserves an opportunity to come to terms with what transpired and start over." Corporations, meanwhile, reacted quickly and decisively. The network that used to broadcast Pawn Stars, the History Channel, formally broke off all contact with Rick Harrison. In addition to the show's cancellation, repeats were promptly removed from the schedule. In a statement, the network reiterated its dedication to preserving and honoring cultural history, while expressing profound sadness at Rick's conduct. The gold and silver pawn store stayed operational, despite a sharp decline in foot traffic following the incident. It remained a historical and cultural emblem of Las Vegas, where each commonplace object had a remarkable backstory. Corey Harrison took over as the company's leader in an attempt to win back the public's faith. He was committed to improving the shop's and the family's reputation. Transparency, integrity, and education are the qualities that Corey used to reposition the store. In order to encourage moral collecting methods, he worked with academic institutions and museums, and established stringent verification procedures for each transaction. 6 months after Rick's conviction, Corey talked about the challenging fight in an emotional interview. "It was an error that occurred. Although we are unable to alter the past, we are dedicated to contributing to the solution rather than the issue." Additionally, Rick's longtime buddy and co-worker Austin Chumlee Russell made his opinions public for the first time on a podcast. Chumlee articulated his nuanced emotions. "Rick has taught me a lot of valuable business lessons that I will always remember, but I must equally acknowledge that there was a side of him that I was unaware of, or perhaps I didn't want to see." The Harrison family is committed to helping Rick and preserving the integrity of the company he founded, while his appeal is pending in the courts. Many people have been taken aback by Corey's sudden ascent to leadership, especially those who previously thought of him as erratic and hot-tempered. But he gained fresh appreciation for his leadership during the crisis. "For my father, the support from fans is really important," Corey revealed in a news release. "Knowing that there are still individuals who have faith in our family gives us the willpower to continue. So I read each letter. Every Sunday, the Harrison family now gathers for prayer in front of the pawn store as part of a touching new ritual. Devoted supporters from throughout the nation gather to take part give prayers, reminisce, and show their unwavering support for Rick. The family invites those who can't visit Las Vegas to send cards, letters, or even Pawn Stars memorabilia, small presents that let Rick know he's not alone. Despite Rick Harrison's uncertain future, Pawn Stars' narrative endures not only as a television program but also as a monument to the emergence of a family company and the delicate balance between controversy and legacy. The gold and silver pawn store is still standing today, representing the past as well as the future. Particularly for someone going through the most difficult time in their life, small acts of kindness may have a big impact. "My father values the fan letters more than they know," Corey said. He is strengthened by this support. Corey Harrison is hopeful about the future of the gold and silver pawn store despite the innumerable obstacles he has had to overcome. "I learned all I know about this industry from my father, and the moral principles he instilled in me continue to serve as the cornerstone of our operations. Despite our missteps, our store has been a fixture in Las Vegas for more than 30 years, and I'm committed to making sure it lasts for another 30. From a humble asset trader to a prosperous businessman, a household figure, and now a man serving a life sentence, Rick Harrison's path has followed one of the most dramatic emotional arcs in reality television history. Many have likened this sequence of events to a contemporary Shakespearean tragedy, in which a man steeped in history utilized the exact items he formerly held in high regard to plan his own demise. Some people view Rick's experience as a warning about celebrity, money, and the thin line separating risky business practices from illegal activity. It serves as a reminder that every choice is emphasized under the limelight of celebrity, and every error has consequences that extend well beyond the pawn shop's boundaries. Rick's family is in a precarious situation, and the public is being challenged to re-evaluate achievement, legacy, and atonement as a result of the fallout from his demise, which is still having an impact on reality television. There is yet hope though. Fans may share memories, offer support, and send encouraging notes to Rick on the Harrison family's newly opened website. Emails and letters sent via this platform will be sent to Rick while he is incarcerated, acting as a ray of hope throughout the worst period of his life. The family claims that these texts serve as a lifeline, encouraging Rick and letting him know that he is not completely forgotten. According to a family statement, Rick has always appreciated his viewers. He is aware that your assistance is more important than ever. One thing is certain as this intricate and very human tale develops further. Pawn Stars has had a lasting impact on popular culture, enlightening and amusing millions of people worldwide. Will Rick be able to rebuild and get his name cleared, or does Corey now have complete control over the brand's future? Time will tell. We will keep watching this remarkable case, a tale that transcends television and deals with failure, family, reputation, and the brittleness of legacy. Rick started to envision a reality TV program that would showcase the everyday transactions and distinctive tales that go place behind the pawn counter at the gold and silver pawn shop after seeing the unrealized entertainment potential in the pawn industry. Rick persisted even after the concept was initially turned down. He persuaded History Channel to sign him after years of trying, and Pawn Stars made its formal television debut in 2009. Through a combination of intense discussions, rare and unusual things, and their intriguing history, the show revealed the world of pawn. Rick, his son Corey, Big Hoss Harrison, his tough dad Richard Harrison, and his beloved friend Austin Chumlee Russell were presented to the audience. The group swiftly rose to fame, valuing anything from unique mementos to antique swords. Pawn Stars quickly became popular. Rick stood out due to his professional negotiating abilities, calm, no-nonsense manner, and extensive historical knowledge. "The best I can do is," his well-known saying, became legendary and signaled the closing or rejection of agreements. Thus, Rick Harrison's journey from television star to legal trouble has reached a pivotal point in his life. Is his career coming to an end though, or just a pivotal moment that creates new possibilities? Watch this space for the most recent information. We appreciate you viewing the video.